Good afternoon, traders. Our dollar has reached its target. Next week, do we get a pump? Let's talk about that. All right, this is the US dollar. You can see I had plotted out a level or a target here of around 98%. Let me get that level up there. Whoops, that's not where I wanted it. All right, and we're there exactly. All right, so my expectation is now that target is reached, dollar starts to dump, and that will begin into next week. Now we'll see if it breaks below this trend line here or remains above. Both possibilities are equally probable, I would suggest at this point, except for one thing, and we're going to begin to talk about that. Let's take a look at some of our other charts before we do that. VIX right now, you can see that there is some sort of a trend line here. And this is a pretty steep trend line, guys. So I expect at some point fear can only be escalated for so long before people just need to take a break. The psychology of the market literally does need to take a rest from all the chaos that is happening in the world. So my suspicion is at some point in the near future we break down below this trend line and maybe bounce off of our 50, maybe off of our 20. We've got 200, 150, and 20 here. And obviously there are some levels here. You can chart those out as well. But I think at this point the market is ready for a little bit of a rest in terms of fear. All right. So if I'm suspecting the dollar comes down along with the fear index, what are the rest of the indexes going to do? That's right, guys. You're learning. We are going up. That is my suspicion at this point, that next week we conquer this level and we begin the process of heading up. And again, I stated two possibilities. You know, when Elon Musk tweeted top around here, I also suspected it was the top. However, I didn't know, like many are pessimistically suspecting, whether we would continue down in this trajectory, or more likely, my suspicion was that the markets stay in a sideways pattern for at least half the year. And so I think we will conquer these supports again. You can see them on all of our charts. I'll jump over in just a second. And I think we will continue in a sideways pattern. Now, what makes me think that is going to happen? All right, so let's talk a little bit about Ukraine and JPOW and the Fed. You guys that have been following these updates, there's not as many of you that follow these daily updates as the rest of my videos, and that's fine, but you guys know that I always talk about the JPOW's threats to increase the rates. And I say threats because it hasn't happened yet. And my suspicion has been all along, and still is, and even more concrete than ever. I am resolved to think that JPOW, if he raises the rates, which I expect he will, but I think instead of three rate increases this year, Jerome increases it once. And I think instead of 50 basis points, I think it's 25. And I think March may be the time he does that. The rest of, with the situation in Ukraine and Russia, etc., obviously that has helped strengthen the dollar. The reason the dollar has really gone up you know, I predicted this price level before this whole situation in Ukraine. The charts were telling me the news before the news occurred. But the strengthening of the dollar is in large part due to everything that is going on in Ukraine and with Russia, etc., etc. So now Jerome and company, the Fed, have a legit excuse that the market will accept and digest without retaliation, not to raise interest rates. All right. This means that inflation will begin to take off. And we know lately, those of you guys who've been watching this again, know that the crypto markets have really been the lead indicator as of late. What does it look like on all these crypto charts? And it's not just our leaders. I can go to many of the altcoins, and we have the same pattern playing out. And what is that? It looks to me like we've got ourselves a bull flag everywhere I look, guys. Ethereum, no different. Less pronounced because it has dropped quite a bit today. Bitcoin dominance is doing exactly as expected. I drew this, at least a week and a half ago, and here we are. We're right in range, exactly as expected. This right here, bull flag. So I'm thinking we will tag this upper level, as I've been suspecting, sooner than I expected. And that bodes well for Bitcoin, which is the lead dog. All right. And what is Bitcoin doing? Bull flag. This is a bull flag, guys. All right. Until we actually come back down here and test, which I don't think we're going to do this weekend. I think we're going to bounce off that 50-day, recover this area above our 40,800 support, and this is a bull flag. All right, so the crypto markets are telling us that a run is about to begin, and I think this all falls into play with my theory that Jerome just does not have the balls to raise those interest rates 3 times. And he may do it once, but instead of 50, it'll only be 25. This means inflation is going to start to wreck us. All right. Especially, unfortunately, it always affects those with lower incomes, and the lower 10% of the population. So look for that inflation factor to start to be priced into the market again, as those who are privy to the actions of JPOW and the Fed start to realize what is going to take place. He is going to use Ukraine and Russia as an excuse not to raise interest rates. He's going to say the markets have come down, the dollar's strong, etc., etc. All the articulate linguistics that he likes to utilize are going to be thrown out there, and basically the gist of it is, I'm only going to raise interest rates once and by 25 basis points, and the markets are going to take off. All right, so it's not, in conclusion, it's not absolutely certain JPOW and company will do this, but I have been suspicious all along that 3 hikes will not, I got to do better checks of my conclusion, will not occur. Now, with Russia as an excuse and the real estate market, I didn't talk about that. The real estate market in the U.S. is huge, and really, that's the one thing you don't want to crash with those interest rates. All right, so it's pertinent that the real estate market is kept afloat if the U.S. economy is going to do well as well. I forgot to talk all about that, but we'll get to that in another video. Anyways, Russia is the excuse and the real estate market to save. I predict that only one rate hike will occur, and that being 25 basis points. And soon, I believe March 10th, Fed releases some of their notes. We'll have clues that this is going to be the case. I expect the market to price in this news before we actually hear it, and this is what technical analysis is for. It's telling me that the markets are about ready to pump. This is what I'm seeing on the charts, guys. All right, hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.